So when most teachers think of school gardens, the two things that come to mind is I don't have time to teach gardening and plant science is not in my curriculum. So what we have done is we have come up with some garden learning centers. Centers are a format that most, especially elementary school teachers, are familiar with, and we have been able to connect these centers to curriculum of all areas, so making the garden an accessible place for teachers of every subject and every walk of life.
So another barrier we have found with teachers that we work with is how do I go outside and teach? I know how to teach in my classroom, but the outdoor classroom I don't feel the same confidence. And so student engagement obviously is really, really important, that when we take 25 students out, that everybody has something productive to do, not just the 2 or 3 that are planting or weeding or harvesting, whatever they might be doing. So we're going to be delving into how to keep students engaged while in the garden or around the garden area. So we're here at our literacy bed center, that is, and I'm going to ask Amy a few questions about what happens here, what can happen, what you hope happens. And Amy, why don't you start us off with what are some of the things that we need to have here at a literacy center?
Okay, Doug. So the literacy center is very simple. All you really need is some sort of blanket. It's nice to have something portable that you can carry outside whenever you're ready. I have a couple just different options here. These are great. They fold out. They're nice and kind of weatherproof. So blankets, it can be tablecloths, it can honestly be anything you have, carpet squares for that matter, work great. Just anything that's portable that you can take outside with you, and then just some books and some journals. The literacy center can be as easy or as complicated as you want to make it.
So when the students come out and you assign so many to come here, what is expected? What kind of things might happen here at the Literacy Center?
Okay, well, we have a variety of books here, and it can be as simple as they just read. There are things on various grade levels. Here's one of my favorite. Fruit is a suitcase for seed. So let's take this one for example. So if they were to, you could have a journal here. So I have a whole bunch of just blank composition books. You can write journal prompts in this. One of those might be, read Fruit is a Suitcase for Seeds and summarize why. Tell us why the author says fruit is a suitcase for seeds. So here we are reading and we are writing at this center. Another great one, this is one of my favorite books, is Diary of a Worm. Very easy reading level, and here you have, they can read Diary of a Worm, and then your prompt might be find something in the garden, whether it be living or non-living, and write a journal entry or multiple journal entries from that object's perspective. Again, we have reading and we have writing. Here's another favorite. We have 3 different books about carrots. So we have Too Many Carrots, this is fiction. Here we have Carrots Grow Underground, this one's nonfiction, and here we have The Carrot Seed. Maybe we can read these 3 books and discuss the difference between fiction and nonfiction, and maybe what was the author's purpose in writing this book. So
Great.
Lots of different options.
So Amy, is there parameters to what books should be put out here? Obviously grade level is important, but what about, do they have to be garden books?
They don't have to be garden books. It doesn't have to, and you that's again up to what you want, what your curriculum goals are for that, what you're studying. You don't even have to have as many books. You might be writing haiku, some poetry, could be something like that here. If your focus that week or that month might be on, let's say, grammar. Maybe you have a separate journal and you could list, look around and list as many nouns as you can see. List as many verbs. What are action words that we use in the garden? So tying the garden back in, but understanding that verbs are talking about action. Might be adjectives. I can describe the garden in very many ways. So again, I think it's important to have a lot of different journals. Some of them can be fiction, nonfiction. It could just be what did you do in the garden, or how are you feeling? You know, today I'm having a really bad day and I'm just going to write about it. And it can be a journal that is shared, or it can be their own personal journal where they don't have to share it.
Good.
We might write about the same thing. I love the idea of opening it up and here I have my prompt, I do that, and then I fold it down, and the next student comes around, they answer the same prompt, turn it down, but you can go back and see what others wrote about that same prompt, or the teacher can see different perspectives.
Good. So one more question about the Literacy Center. Do you have anything that you think is important about selecting a site where you might want to put the Literacy Center, obviously near the garden, but other than that, what are some things you might consider?
I think it needs to be somewhat level ground. It needs to be free of any rocks or debris or fire ants, per se.
Right.
And a shady spot is really nice. If you've got a shady spot, or at least during some of those months. You know, in April, March and April, you might not want that shady spot. You might want a sunny spot. But come May, you're going to want that shade.
Great. Great.
But I think this one is accessible to it can be reading about anything. It can be literacy, it can be social studies, it can be science, it can be just about anything you want to read about.
Okay, great, great. Would you care if I shared my favorite book?
Oh, please do.
Okay,
Please do.
so right here it is. I believe it was an AHS winner last year.
So.
In Madison, I learned about this book, Seed School. I love this book, and it makes me want to go dirt diving. Yes. So very cool story. But they all are, and there's so many. All right, Amy, if you have anything else, that's fine. Otherwise, I believe we're good for
one more connection,
okay,
because this is one of my favorites.
Okay.
This is in different grade levels, but I know every different elementary school at some point has to study folk tales. And here we have 3 different versions of the turnip. So here we can learn about folk tales, and maybe we can plant turnips in the garden and find out what that's about. So here's another tie-in. We're connecting to the garden, but we're also connecting back to literature, and this is a standard that most grade levels at some point have to cover.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
So we hope that you can get something from this and go create your own centers, be creative when you put them together. There's a lot of different things that you might want to do that we didn't do, and there's plenty other centers that you could create as well.
Sure.
So we hope that this has been helpful for you.